Class, this is the Thinking in Shots lecture. In this one, I just take that concept from the first lecture, the 11 Commandments discussion, and I try to blow it up and draw a special focus onto it. It's not a very long lecture at all. The core of visual grammar, according to your textbook author, Steve Stockman, is that every shot has a hero, quote unquote. You might call it a subject. A lot of other textbooks call it a subject. But the key point is that you can tell what the you can tell what the purpose of every shot is. Every shot must be part of the story. It's part of the coherent narrative. There should be no shots that confuse the viewer as to what the story is about, and no junk shots that are just thrown in there to fill time. Shots add up to sequences, which add up to a scene, according to people who talk about movies. Most video news stories stop with a bunch of shots adding up to several sequences which tell a story. We don't usually call it a scene because it's not fiction, but it's still the same idea. Shots are about, anywhere 3 to 5, maybe 7 seconds long, and you're going to need at least 3 of those to make up a sequence, and you're going to need probably, anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 sequences to make up a 90-second news package. So in the end, we're not talking about a ton of video for any given story, but obviously the hurdles you have to jump through in terms of learning the camera and getting the interviews and doing the reporting, those should keep you plenty busy. And I don't mean to imply that video is easy, it's just that it's actually really doable and can even be fun once you get past all of the, once you get over that pretty steep learning curve at the beginning. That's what these videos are supposed to help you do. So, when you're shooting any shot, even if it's of an inanimate object, usually you should be focusing on people, and there should be a hero to your shot. Although the textbook sometimes, they'll use like the birthday cake as a hero. Other times it's a kid jumping off of a diving board. He's a hero. Or there's a dog who wants to go outside. Unfortunately, it's raining for that bulldog. But the point is, every shot it's about somebody or something, and that's the hero. Once you watch this video from Seattle, and just direct message me a list of at least 10 heroes from the first several shots. It's a really long package, so by really long I mean I think almost 4 minutes long or something like that. Just DM me, at Mark Poepsel on Twitter, a list of at least 10 heroes from the first several shots you see. If you miss a few, that's fine. Just try to make sure you get up to 10. And the link is a cut and paste, and it has to do with Amanda Knox returning to West Seattle, the girl who was convicted and then had the conviction overturned. She was convicted of murder in Italy. She was a study abroad student. So there's a live shot, a bunch of other things. I want you to look at those shots for heroes or subjects. Okay, every shot must contribute to your story. This is another nice section in the text. I'm not going to reread it to you, but I am going to summarize what I think is important. This is the rule. Like I say, it gets broken most often because a lot of times people will just shoot the outside of the residence hall, or they will go and they will shoot like an intramural game if they're covering some type of sporting event, or if they want to cover some type of Greek event or philanthropy or whatever, and they'll go shoot this, and it will be 10 guys running across a basketball court. I have no idea where the action is or what I'm supposed to be looking at. Every shot has to contribute to the story. If the story is about a philanthropy, then I want to see people either raising money or collecting money, or I want to see specific numbers of people in the audience, and I want to know how much that represents for the charity. I want to see if there are any representatives of the charity at the event. They need to be in focus, and they need to be you need to shoot a couple of sequences of them, and whatever the action is, shoot the action well. Don't just shoot big giant wide shots of people. If the philanthropy, if the fundraiser is a car wash, I want to see specific people washing a car. I don't just want to see 20 people sitting around at the at the table collecting money and shooting the shit or whatever. So I don't need a whole bunch of shots of buildings, hallways, bulletin boards, etc. I don't want you to stage video. Don't make people do things for the camera. Instead, I want you to go ahead and get shots of people actually working. Maybe they're on the phone or in the front of class. If you're talking about professors or if you're talking about administrators, even they might be in front of a meeting. But make sure you get in close and that you can actually see the person who's leading the discussion or who's teaching the class or who's, you know, who's running the event, whatever it may be. Get shots of the action related to your story. I've already basically clarified all the rest of those points. The trick to make sure your shots are contributing is to anticipate the action. The book starts out, it's on the inside cover, I think, where it talks about going to a graduation, something we're all shooting for, right? And it says if you wing it, it will suck. And the whole idea there is you know what's going to happen generally at a graduation. Some people are going to walk across the stage, they're going to grab a diploma, and then they're going to go back down to their seats, and they're going to play pomp and circumstance, and people are going to probably throw their hats or do something similar. So what you want to do is anticipate those shots. You don't have to shoot everybody getting their diploma, but you can shoot a medium shot of one person getting the diploma and a tight shot of the next person getting the diploma and doing the handshake, and cut those two shots together, and it looks like a fluid motion. You're not cheating anybody. I mean, nobody cares that the close-up was from a different dude than the person who was in the wide shot. The point is that you're cutting out time and telling the story more succinctly. And you're anticipating what's going to come up. So that way every shot you get contributes to the story. In the book, there's a dude doing the handshake and then tossing the hat. And then there's a shot of him next to his mother, and she's crying. And if you actually open your textbook, that is probably one of the worst illustrations of a teardrop, of a bunch of teardrops I've ever seen. Graduate dude looks fine. Mom looks like she's got some type of horrible pink eye. Anyway, make sure your shots contribute to the specific point of your story. If you find any other examples of anticipated actions besides the one I just gave with the graduation on the inside of the cover, go ahead and @ me on Twitter with a couple of examples. Shots, sequences, and scene. A shot is really like a sentence. It has a subject or a hero and a verb. So I'm going into a little more depth here of something that's from the other lecture. But think of it, if we're talking about visual grammar, it's a really great metaphor, but how does that really play out? Well, think of a shot like a sentence. There's a subject and a verb. Think of a sequence as a paragraph, a bunch of sentences that together tell a little bit more complex idea than a single sentence can tell. And you put several sequences together and you've got a story. So that's the visual counterpart to whatever, the 5 or 6 or 7 paragraph story. Every story or scene, let's just say story, every story has a focus, but they can be large or small. I've done a news package on the price of SUVs going down because the price of gas went up. And I've done stories about the planned evacuation of thousands of people to the city of Tucson after Katrina. Obviously, one was a pretty basic issue, pretty small topic, although gas prices are always important. But the other one was a major kind of national event that was, finally the impact of it was being felt in Tucson, and both of those were between 90 seconds and 2-minute stories. So the point is, it can be however long it needs to be, but it has to have a focus. And you should be ready to answer questions about, this is specifically for the midterm, right? Because the whole point of sitting through this silly video is so that I can give you clues for what's going to be on the midterm and come out of these lectures. You should be ready to answer a question about one of your own stories and how you used shots to build sequences and sequences to tell a story, how you made use of visual grammar. So you should be able to recount, okay, I got 3 shots of somebody playing intramural basketball, and I put that together in a sequence, and then ultimately I had a bunch of sequences of the whole intramural tournament, and the whole point of it was to document that, intramurals are, I don't know, whatever the story was. Maybe the story was specifically that there are more women than men participating in intramurals, or that faculty actually do participate, or the law school people come over and dominate and nobody knows who they are except for when they're, you know, kicking butt in basketball or something. There's a lot of different things you could do that are focused, but the point is, shots build sequences, sequences build stories, and you're going to have to give me specific examples of all of those things, all the way down to the shots, if you're going to ace that question on your midterm. So there is some relationship. There are going to be some questions like this, probably just this one and a couple others, where you're asked to give examples from your own work that connect lessons from the book to the stuff you're actually shooting. All right, that's it.